ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. May there be perfect correspondence between my thoughts, words, and actions. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed in my consciousness. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our innate divinity in our heart as a steadily burning candle flame. Its divine aura has spread all over my personality. I am made of that divine light. And with that, the whole universe also was filled with the same one light. All is this tremendously bright and yet tremendously soothing, one without second, luminous existence. There is no break, no subject-object separation. No I, no you. Time and space have vanished. Infinite eternity that alone is. All is unspeakable bliss. Profound, deep peace. Om, peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's discussion on this book, Sri Ramakrishna and his Divine Play, with our usual chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravanamangalam shrimadattatam bhuvi grinanti te bhurida jana. This is the chapter titled as Conclusion. Master, that is Sri Ramakrishna, as a Guru, and the conclusion of this volume is being presented, and there are a couple of more chapters after the conclusion in this very volume. And we saw Sri Ramakrishna, the God, assuming this body for this time, for this situation, is the main purpose is to impart the teachings of divinity. And that very divine can be realized by people by various paths. All these paths lead to the same goal, where a human being finds the total fulfillment. In that sense, that is the goal. That goal is where you find the ultimate fulfillment. Nothing further remains to be achieved. That is the goal. And this goal Sri Ramakrishna found that can be reached by various different paths represented by many prominent religions in the world. And this was, we saw, a very new discovery. As a theoretical concept, this idea was there, but nobody before Sri Ramakrishna has ever practiced all these different faiths and found by this very tangible, irrefutable experience that they ultimately take you to the same one goal. And this is how this new idea has been ushered in. The force of experience is tremendous, and that therefore all this speculative thinking that yes, all religions are more or less same, or they lead to the same goal, that concept was there, but it didn't have the force of experiential authority which was lent by Sri Ramakrishna. And we also saw in our last class that this was necessary for our this age, when people of all different faiths and they intermingle with each other, they come very close, and the scientific technological development and the commerce that grew through it has brought the world very close. Everybody now is connected globally, whether they want it or they don't want it. Even if you are living in a remote village somewhere in, say, South Asia, still you will find all the material from different countries right in your day-to-day use. You will get the news from America and say Argentina and Africa, Australia, all over the continent. So this is the point, that because of this, it is now necessary that the conflicts amongst different faiths should be gone. Otherwise, people will just engage in quarrels, fights, on the issue of religion. So it has to be settled that no, all religions, if you practice any of them, you will see that they lead to the same goal. So, in that sense, Sri Ramakrishna experienced this and expressed this. And also, he brought a rejuvenation amongst all different religions by showing that the goal of human beings is that ultimate realization of God. We all have to realize God. That is the goal for humanity, and thus the goal of every religion. Whether some religions superficially would think that no, we will never be able to reach that stage. Yet that is the message given by that very religion also. And Sri Ramakrishna expressed it so forcefully through his experience that gradually, without any violence, without any kind of, obvious and aggressive conversion, the message has gradually, silently, peacefully spread all over the world. People practicing all different faiths, and they are acknowledging the greatness of Sri Ramakrishna and want to follow in the footsteps of him. So, this is something very special. And so, at the end of our last class, near the end, we read that statement of Sri Ramakrishna, which the biographer has brought it here, that anybody whose this is the last birth will have to come, Sri Ramakrishna said, here, means where, that we have to think about. One who has the last birth means in this birth that person will reach the goal, the journey will be over, and no further birth will be necessary, it will not happen. So, therefore, if somebody has this as the last birth, Sri Ramakrishna said, that person will have to come here. Now, what exactly is meant by here? I had suggested in the last class that everybody should give it a thought, that what is the meaning of this, that this is the last birth. So, Charlie is ready with a microphone, that if somebody wants to give out the thoughts, okay, you can begin, Charlie. What do you think that Sri Ramakrishna says, those who have their last birth has to come here, that person has to come here. Now, what is the meaning of here?
Well, the only thing I can think of is having no desires.
You have to, that is what you see as Sri Ramakrishna is having no desires. Okay, yeah. So one has to become desireless, means that is coming to Sri Ramakrishna. What do you think, Abhijit? Coming here means what?
Well, he used to refer to the one who is inside, always when he said here. So to that, maybe Divine Mother.
Yes, and what is coming? Coming means what?
Taking refuge?
Taking refuge. Yeah. taking the refuge in that. What do you think, Jitendra? What Sri Ramakrishna means by saying that everybody, anyone who has his last birth will have to come here. It is not a trivial statement. It is a statement that Sri Ramakrishna has deliberately made a few times. And so there is some deep meaning to it. What do you think?
So coming here means giving up rest of the things and going to the place. So that is here means the only place.
Yes.
And giving up everything, that is coming.
Do you think the converse also works? Means those who have this as their last birth will come here. But is it then this way, if you come here, then that will be your last birth?
That is true.
Means it works both ways.
Both
Those who have this as last birth will come what Sri Ramakrishna calls here. And those who come here, they will have it as their last birth.
Right, yeah, both ways.
Okay. Naomi, do you have any thoughts?
Wait a minute.
Just that they see God is here. God is with them, Swami.
So coming here means coming to God. Okay, thank you. Anybody online have any opinions or something to say on this point?
Yes, Michael Zamu, he says, come here means to me surrendering everything to mother, just like a kitten depends on his mother.
Okay, very good. Anybody else?
Not yet, but I can request them now to maybe
Okay,
share
later
their
on.
thoughts.
Do you have something to say, Ajay?
Yes, Swamiji says that Buddha and Christ are not so much personalities, but levels of attainment. So there's a Buddha consciousness, a Christ consciousness. So I think you can also think of Ramakrishna in those same terms. So Ramakrishna can also be a level of attainment. So to come to Ramakrishna is to attain to that level of consciousness.
Yes, very good. There are very nice thoughts presented by everyone. They are all correct. That here wouldn't really mean just to a person. And if we see Swami Saradananda in some other context is saying about this, that what is the meaning of coming to Sri Ramakrishna? He said that while they were in Dakshineshwar where Sri Ramakrishna was staying, there were so many people in the temple there, the officials, workers of the temple, and people coming there for various other reasons. They did come in that temple and also many of them met Sri Ramakrishna. But did they come to Sri Ramakrishna in the sense of what is meant here? Saradananda Swamiji says, we did not see any change in their life because of coming to Sri Ramakrishna. They went about the pursuit of their sensual enjoyments, and that's about it. It is, so did they come to Sri Ramakrishna in principle or not? It depends, like somebody who wants diamonds comes to a diamond to get it, to buy it, is ready to pay a lot of price for that. And then somebody who is not interested in diamonds at all, even if that person sees something like diamond, will not be interested in it. So there is a story about it, that a very skillful sculptor, he brought a diamond and also an exactly similar looking sugar crystal. They were looking exactly same, sugar and diamond. He said, without touching them, just by looking, can anybody identify which is the diamond and which is looking like diamond but not diamond? And then in their appearance there was no visible difference. So it was certainly quite difficult to tell which is this diamond and which is sugar. Also there was a condition kept that if it was otherwise, anybody will say this, oh no, that is not that, or maybe no such speculations were allowed. You have one choice and for that you have to give some big sum. If you win, that will be doubled. If you don't tell correctly, you will forfeit that huge sum. So nobody was able to really discern. Then one very wise minister identified that yes, this is the diamond and this is the sugar. How did he determine that? He said, yes, I saw that there was a fly. The fly was hovering around. One of them was not going to other at all. And so that cannot be, where the fly was hovering around cannot be diamond. Fly has no interest in diamond. But fly has a lot of interest in sugar. And so on the basis of that, he identified and gave the rationale also that yes, so many were coming to Dakshineshwar and saw this diamond, Sri Ramakrishna. But their interest was in sugar, their appetite, their capabilities were all in identifying sugar. And so they did not come to Sri Ramakrishna, even though they came to the person of Sri Ramakrishna. As a human being they came to, they saw Sri Ramakrishna. But as a source of spiritual wisdom, they did not come there. So did they come to Sri Ramakrishna? No. When I used to be in training center, once our the then vice president, who later became president, Swami Gambhirananda, came to talk to us, and this question was asked to him, that what does it mean that if somebody comes to Sri Ramakrishna, that will be the last birth, And instead of giving direct reply that what he thought, he referred to an incident in a train conversation. In the train, these three Swamis were traveling, Swami Vireshwarananda, then Swami Gambhirananda, and Swami Abhayananda. So, three very senior Swamis, very highly respected by devotees. And there was a group of devotees who were not traveling with these Swamis, but they happened to be in the same train. And they were discussing this point, that what does it mean? Somewhere of this opinion that what it means is, if somebody has taken initiation in this Ramakrishna order, a mantra from somebody, their authorized person, and thus is, therefore has come to Sri Ramakrishna. That was the understanding somebody expressed. Then somebody said, no, that doesn't really mean that. Coming to Sri Ramakrishna means meeting with Sri Ramakrishna. It is those who have actually met, for them it was their last birth. But we now, we are not meeting Sri Ramakrishna who has passed away. So we don't stand a chance from that angle. It may not be our last birth. And there was a dispute going on as to what does it mean to come to Sri Ramakrishna, or what does it mean when Sri Ramakrishna says, those who have this as their last birth have to come here. And then when they saw some Swamis, they decided to approach the Swamis with this question. And then the three Swamis, they heard the question, and then Vireshwarananda, Swami Vireshwarananda was asked to give a reply. So he said, coming to Sri Ramakrishna means coming to the principal Sri Ramakrishna, an embodiment of love of God and renunciation of the ego, renunciation of I and world, and holding on to God as the embodiment, or the God as the whole and soul, the goal of life. If somebody sees this and molds one's life accordingly, then that person has come to Sri Ramakrishna. Otherwise, that person has not come to Sri Ramakrishna. And therefore, that need not be the last birth of that person. If you come to Sri Ramakrishna, means if you accept this God realization is the goal of life. What it means is, now all your actions are channeled towards the realization of that. All other considerations have dropped out from your life, because that is the goal. So, the one who has come to that understanding that this is the goal of life, and has taken Sri Ramakrishna as the guiding light for that, the life of Sri Ramakrishna is taken up as the guiding light to realize that goal. Then that person has come to Sri Ramakrishna. just by taking initiation and not understanding what it means or not acting on that doesn't mean that you have really come to Sri Ramakrishna. Many take initiation, many are very sincere also about it. Some take initiation because somebody else, one of his friends has taken, so okay, I will also go and have initiation. In some people it is a family tradition, and so go and take initiation. Some people take it thinking that maybe by taking initiation my worldly matters will get desirably resolved as I want them. My poverty will vanish and I will get more success in my whatever I am doing. So initiation may help. Maybe the lawsuit that is going on may get settled in my favor if I take initiation. All those thoughts also are there. So, does it really mean coming to Sri Ramakrishna as the ideal of life? No. So, he gave that as reply. And let us now read what Saradananda Swami is saying about this. While determining who would realize and accept his liberal religious view, the master had another conviction that he often shared with us. He said, one who is living his, of course this is not gender specific, his should not mean that women are left out, it is last birth will come here. In original Bengali, there is no that gender idea is not there. Every language has a way of expressing. English sentence would be incomplete if it is just translated like that. So there is a his there, but that need not be emphasized. A person who has sincerely called on God even once will definitely come here. Now this is another point. Even once. Now once in a while people take the name of God, at least when they are in having some problem, when they have landed themselves in a soup, then say, oh God, that, oh God. So the name of God is taken. For just like that, people take the name of God. It is therefore actually it is told, don't utter the name of God in vain. So instead of saying God, they say gosh. It is, oh my gosh. Just a formality, because one should not take the name of God. And there is a nice joke about it, that those who do not believe in gosh go to heck. So it is, because hell also should not be said, it is impolite to utter that word. So say heck. But otherwise God, the word gets said many times. And even Sri Ramakrishna says, even if once you have uttered that word, then you have to come here. There is another story that Adishwaranandji used to share, a funny story, that there were 4 ladies who were talking very highly about the achievement of their sons. They were devout Christian ladies. So one of them said, you know, my son has become a priest. So as soon as people see him, they say, "Oh, Father." So then the other lady said that, "Well, you know, my son was a priest, but now he has become bishop." So when people see him, when he enters a holy sanctuary, people say His Holiness. Then somebody said, "Oh, my son, he has become an archbishop." So people, he there lives there in Rome with the Pope. So when people see him, he gets addressed as His Excellency. So it is all were giving, such, one after another, more superior than the previous one, descriptions of their sons. Now the fourth woman, she didn't have any such thing to say, but she was not going to be put down. She said, "My son is 7 feet 4 inches tall and weighs 350 pounds. So when he walks in any assembly, people say, 'Oh my God.'" So it is now that utterance of the word God, and will it qualify this fellow? These people have uttered the word God once. Will they be coming here? So it is, it is preceded by the word sincerely. Sincerely means that knowing that God is my very reality. With that idea, if somebody has uttered the word God, taken the name of God even once, yes, if you have that kind of sincerity, uttering it once, that will do. I had told another story also sometimes, that a very highly evolved spiritual teacher was staying with his, along with his disciple. Both were staying in a hut, and then once a person came, he had lot of headache. The teacher was not there, so the disciple, he said, "Oh, I came for this medicine, give me some medicine, I have terrible pain in my head." The disciple said, "We don't give such medicines, our teacher doesn't have such any cure for those things." But that fellow was so much disturbed by headache, he kept on asking. Now to get rid of him, this disciple said that, "Oh, okay, go home and take a shower, put on clean clothes and utter the name Rama 3 times. 3 times take the name of Rama, and then your headache will go away." And when the teacher came, disciple narrated, "Well, this fellow had come like that, what can be done? I tried to tell him, but he wouldn't go. So just to make him leave, I told him, just take a shower and utter the name of Rama 3 times. And the teacher started scolding him. "Eh? You fool, you stupid!" And then the disciple couldn't, "What wrong did I do?" The teacher's eyes became, and that dim with the tears, he said, that name of God, that one name, if uttered just once, you get liberated. And just to cure headache, you told that fellow to utter the name 3 times. What a wanton wastage, you say. It is those who have such tremendous, sincere faith and they utter the name of God, take the name of God even once. Sri Ramakrishna says they will have to come here. So what is the meaning of here? Swami Saradananda has given some light on that. So let us read. So many people had different reactions to these words. It is hard to record all of them. Some concluded that this statement was absolutely unreasonable. Some thought that these were incoherent words caused by the master's devotion and faith. Yes, in ecstatic mood, Sri Ramakrishna's words would not be very clearly discernible. So some think it might be like that. Some found in his statement mental illness or egotism. Some thought that although they could not understand it, it must be true because the master said so. These people therefore stopped analyzing it and arguing about it, considering such doubt to be detrimental to their faith. Some others concluded that they could understand it if the master allowed them to, so setting aside any firm belief or disbelief, they listened calmly to others' opinions for or against it. But it would not take long to understand those words if we could make the reader realize that the master was simple, natural, and devoid of ego, and that the Divine Mother made him realize her liberal religious views and established him as a true teacher. He didn't make this statement out of egoism. We have had several examples that how Sri Ramakrishna was totally egoless being. So, if the reader examines those words thoroughly, he or she will understand that the statement is an important proof that the master attained a high spiritual state in an easy and natural way. As a child of the Divine Mother, the master saw within himself a stockpile of extraordinary spiritual power and the ability to transmit that power. Because he had completely surrendered to her, it never occurred to his mind, even for a moment, that he had achieved this through his own effort. He saw in it the inscrutable and playful mother's Leela, and the play, Leela means play, and was amazed and astounded. What great sport has the Divine Mother, who makes the impossible possible, set into motion with the unlettered master. That is how, through Sri Ramakrishna, this play of the Divine Mother. Divine Mother means everything that appears is originated from her, is sustained by her, and it gets back to her. We chant the prayer that what is that? Creation, sustenance and dissolution are your powers. Creation, preservation and dissolution. Srishti sthiti vinashanam shakti bhute. That is the Divine Mother. So, Sri Ramakrishna was made an instrument by Divine Mother, and the instrument has no ego. So, the instrument does exactly what the operator of the instrument wants to get done. So, and it is of course very difficult for us to appreciate, to understand this idea, because of our that ego that obstructs the play of Divine Mother in us. Because of that obstruction, it doesn't come out. Like we had some obstruction in the plumbing here, and so the flow was not coming at all, the water, either hot or cold, especially the hot water was not flowing at all. So now because there is an obstacle there, so after it was cleared, then it has become a very good, nice flow. So our personality has ego, which is a big obstacle. So the Divine Mother's play does not get the effective scope. It gets obstructed by our ego, and thus whatever we want to do, we try to do, and thus it is not that the Divine Mother gets fully expressed through our lives. But Sri Ramakrishna, there being no ego, so a child of Divine Mother in the hands of the Divine Mother, as the mother wants him to do, this child would just do that too, remembering that it is all the power of Divine Mother that is making him do all this. So, this present divine play of the Mother has proven the Vedas, the Bible, the Quran, the Puranas and other scriptures to be true, has established all religions and has fulfilled the crying need of the world, the religious harmony, that is in the brackets, the crying need of the world, which no one had achieved in the ages past. And this is a very important thing, that through this instrument, what has happened, that all these scriptures became now enlivened. The authority of Bible, authority of Quran, authority of Vedas, all have been firmly re-established in the minds of true spiritual aspirants. That because Sri Ramakrishna has verified the truth of these, he has verified the truths of various tantras, Puranas, and also Bible, Quran and so forth. So therefore, now this fulfills the crying need of the world. Many think that Sri Ramakrishna doesn't hold much significance to the Western world. He was an Indian person, so Indians could be kind of culturally connected with him. But no, friends, that is not the case. In whatever place you go, you will see that when people know about this ideal, they come to Sri Ramakrishna. It is, in fact, without anybody telling them, Sri Ramakrishna himself revealed to them. We had that wonderful story of Frank Dorak, an Austrian artist who got the vision of Sri Ramakrishna. So he learned about Sri Ramakrishna afterwards, after getting this vision. So that is the idea, that all will have to come. All glory to the Divine Mother, all glory to the sportive power of the Brahman. That is the Divine Mother, sportive power of Brahman. The Absolute gets manifested, and that is the sport of Brahman. That sportive power is called Divine Mother. So, anyway, it is impossible to express in our language what it exactly means. These thoughts arose when the master had the vision described above, because of his complete faith in the mother's words, in her infinite grace, and in her inscrutable power. The master took that vision to be absolutely true. With Narendranath, there used to be these arguments of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna would say something, and Narendranath, the future Vivekananda, would say, "Oh, they are all the plays of your mind." And having studied Western philosophy and psychology, he would say that how the psychology shows us whatever you are imagining or thinking, that you start seeing. It is the wishful thinking, and then you plant it on Divine Mother. Nothing like that. But Sri Ramakrishna's understanding of it was so clear, so thorough, that he did not budge from his position. That how Divine Mother has always shown me that which is true. Now how can I accept your words? Narendranath sometimes criticized Divine Mother, and once it was being done with such intensity, Sri Ramakrishna got upset. That why are you criticizing my mother? If you don't want to accept her, don't accept. But why are you abusing her like this? No, don't do that. That will not be acceptable. So, it is that kind of deep connection with Divine Mother that Sri Ramakrishna had. So therefore, it was very simple. The master took that vision to be absolutely true. He then questioned her, how far would that Leela spread? Who would assist in its propagation? What kind of people would receive this mother's power? In answer to these questions, he was given a vision of the inner circle of devotees and the conviction that those among them who were living their last birth and had sincerely called on God even once were competent to receive this wonderful new liberal doctrine of the Mother. It is therefore evident that this conclusion entered his mind as a result of this absolute faith in the Mother, because the Master depended on her completely like a child. He had no alternative than to accept that conclusion, and consequently not the slightest trace of egoism cropped up in his mind. That was how his understanding was, very convinced of Divine Mother's visions. Nothing can have a superior authority than that. Doesn't need to tally it with your reason. Because, it is from Divine Mother, that's it. And that was the last authority, last word. That was how Sri Ramakrishna looked upon it. It is very difficult for ordinary people to even think like that. Even if we want to believe, we will not be able to believe. Belief is not so simple as such. Sri Ramakrishna had that tremendous faith because of complete egolessness. Anyway, we shall continue this discussion next Tuesday. We will think about it for a second, and if there are questions, we can discuss those. Any questions? You have a question. Okay, Charlie.
How do we know that Thakur had no ego? How do we know that from the distance that we're at?
A very good question. Has it been asked with ego or without ego? Sri Ramakrishna had no ego. There are so many incidents that show this as his kind of fundamental, basic feature. Like, how do we know that we have a nose? Because we see it, yes, that how do we know all these, that this is true? Because we can have that measured, experienced. So, Sri Ramakrishna's egolessness was that it became evident to those who came to him. One incident noted in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. There are so many that we can think about. Many have been studied here. Sri Ramakrishna had asked M, he was talking about ego, that, do you think I have got ego? Now, how to answer this question? Just before that, Sri Ramakrishna had said that Shankaracharya has a little ego was kept for the spreading of the message and so forth. So he, not immediately after that, but he asked this question to M, that do you think I have got ego? Now M thought and then said, oh, you have kept just a little bit to do the Divine Mother's work. Sri Ramakrishna said, No, no, it is she who has kept a little bit to do her work. I did not keep it. See how egolessness he was, how egoless he was, and that even that could not be uttered by him. There is an incident in this book about somebody wanted to know. There are certain protocols as to who should bend down and salute to whom. If that protocol is broken, it is considered not the right thing, and the one who breaks may incur some sin. So that is the belief. So some people were asking that are you is it right for us to offer our pranam? This is called pranam, that bending down and touching the feet. Are you worthy of being done pranam to us because you are not wearing a sacred thread of a Brahmin? So, and we are Brahmins, so we should not be doing that kind of salutation to somebody who is in hierarchy, caste hierarchy lower than Brahmin. So, you look like a saintly person, but are you Brahmin? You are not. Obviously, you don't have that sign, sacred thread is not there. But you could be a monk. Sri Ramakrishna every time in this conversation kept on saying, you are all worthy of my saluting you. He could not utter even once that no, he is a monastic and has given up because of that his sacred thread, sign of being a Brahmin. So he could not say that. Many such incidents are there to show that his absolute egolessness, his direct disciples have verified it time and again. So that is how we know, Charlie, that Sri Ramakrishna had no ego. Any question on the web?
There are no questions, but there are some comments on the coming here.
Yes, yes, please read them.
Okay. Michael Zamo says, giving power of attorney.
Okay.
Yes.
That is coming to Sri Ramakrishna.
Yes. Then Dr. Seema Rajkondawar.
Yes.
To come to one's own essential being.
Okay, that is another way of looking at coming here. Very good. Then?
Nitin Chauhan.
Yes.
Coming here means to me to be one with Sri Ramakrishna.
Okay, good.
Okay. Paduka.
Okay.
It's all about inclusiveness. Those having their last births, as well as those who call on God sincerely, will come to Him. Both are equal in this way.
Okay, who has said this?
Paduka.
Huh?
Paduka.
Paduka. Okay, okay. Okay, yes.
She also has another, or I don't know if it's he or she, sorry. But the person has another comment. Here is the impersonal Godhead.
Here is in?
Here, so like here.
Here,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so like coming here
Means?
is the impersonal Godhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
All these are very nice, these comments showing very good understanding, and they, not that one is correct and another is wrong. All of them bring out the various shades of the truth of this statement. The meaning of this word here, coming here means what? Thank you everybody about this. So, we shall now conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.